Winter, 2017, I was 21 and dead broke. That's how I ended up working midnight shifts at a rundown gas station on the edge of town. The kind of place where the lights flicker and the coffee tastes burnt even when it's fresh. Some nights, I almost liked it. The quiet, the isolation. Nobody around but truckers and bored teens fighting off boredom. Same as me. But all it takes is one night to change everything. I still think about what happened even now. It was a Wednesday, just after 3:30 in the morning. The kind of cold where the snow falls so thick it swallows every sound, and the world outside the windows turns silvery and blank. I was behind the counter, wrapped in an old hoodie, sipping coffee I swear I could taste rust in. I watched the snow piling up on the empty pumps, my mind wandering in the quiet. There was nothing out there, just darkness and the shifting sheets of white. That's when a pair of headlights cut through the storm, creeping toward the station. Slow. Too slow for a night like this. This old battered Ford rolls into the lot and dies halfway to the pump. I remember watching the exhaust curl in the air, like the car was sighing. A moment later, the door creaks open and this guy steps out. He was tall, but thin, like he'd been stretched too far and left out in the cold. Army green coat, heavy, hanging off his body. Frost still clung to the fabric in thick patches. He moved stiff, like something was wrong with his legs or like he hadn't walked in a long time. That was the first thing that set me on edge. The door always gave a little jingle, but this time, nothing. Just the door creaking open and a wall of frigid air slapping me in the face. He walked in, boots dripping, coat leaving a trail of water and melted snow. For a few seconds, all I heard was the hiss of the heater and his breathing, slow, harsh, almost like he was dragging the cold inside with him. I asked, "Hey, can I help you with something?" No answer. He didn't even look right at me, just past me, as if he was scanning the walls for something. Then, suddenly, his head turned, only his head, not his body, and he locked those eyes on me. That's what I remember most. Deep-set, sunken eyes almost black, and skin so pale I thought he might be sick or frozen. His lips cracked into a strange, wide smile. Way too wide. It looked wrong, like he'd forgotten how to smile for years. My nerves kicked in fast. I backed away, bumped into the counter, and my coffee went flying. I barely noticed the cup land and burst open, coffee oozing over the floor. He started walking toward me, not fast, slow, but determined. Heavy boots smacking the floor, leaving footprints that shimmered in the fluorescent light. He didn't glance at the snacks, the drinks, nothing. Just stared at me and kept coming. My fight-or-flight instinct screamed, "Just run, get out, call for help." But I couldn't move. It was like I was frozen, breathing shallow, heartbeat thumping in my ears. When he stopped at the counter, I saw water running from his sleeves, pooling around his hands. Hands clenched, knuckles white. For a split second, I was sure he was going to pull a weapon. And then, slow as death, he reached into his coat. My pulse was going crazy. I braced for anything. Gun, knife, something. But all he did was pull out a crumpled piece of paper and set it on the counter, right between us. He tipped his head. Still smiling. Still silent. I hesitated, afraid to touch it. Something inside me recoiled, telling me whatever was in that note, I didn't want any part of it. But there was no getting out of it, not anymore. I picked it up. The paper was cold, wet, and the letters inside were shaky, almost scratched in, "Let me in." For a second, I forgot how to breathe. I looked up, ready to shout, to scream, to do something. But he was gone. Not a sound. Not a single step or a bell or a gust of a cold. He was just gone. The door wasn't even moving. The lot outside was empty. No man, no Ford, not even fresh tire tracks, like nothing had ever been there. I ran outside, nearly slipped on the ice, scanning the empty road for any sign of him. But the wind had already erased his footprints, the snow filling them in like he'd never existed. A week later, I quit. Couldn't do another shift, not with every whistle of wind or flicker of the lights making my skin crawl. But it didn't stop at quitting. Sometimes I dream about that man, his coat, that twisted smile, those black eyes boring into me. And I wake up in the dead of night, sweating, air cold as ice. Certain I can hear footsteps outside my apartment door, slow, heavy, deliberate. Most nights I check and nothing's there. But every now and then I find a note slipped under the door. Always mangled, always wet around the edges. Every time, it says the same thing. Let me in. When I moved into this house a few months ago, the first thing I noticed was the mirror. Seriously, it was impossible to miss. It's huge, taller than me, wider than any door, and built right into the wall at the very end of a long hallway. Everything else in this place is super modern. But this thing? It looked like it belonged in an old haunted mansion, not here. I actually asked my landlord about it. She wouldn't look at me. Just said, don't cover it, don't touch it, it's built in. That was all, no explanation. But the rent was cheap, so I moved in anyway. At first, it was just a weird centerpiece. But pretty soon, I started to feel it watching me. Every time I walked down the hallway, I'd get this cold feeling on the back of my neck, like someone's eyes were boring into me. After a while, the lights started acting weird at night. I'd turn everything off, expecting darkness, but there was always this odd, silvery glow at the end of the hall. It came from the mirror, soft at first, but I realized it never really went away. I checked for streetlights. There aren't any. The mirror looked like it was making its own light. That wasn't even the strangest part. The longer I lived there, the more I realized the mirror never reflected the hallway. Only me. No matter what angle I looked from, it was like the rest of the house just faded away. I'd catch myself glancing at it just to check. And sometimes it was off by a split second. I'd move, but in the mirror, I was still. Sometimes my reflection moved first, like it was thinking about what to do next. That's when my dreams got bad. Every night it was the same. I'm at the end of the hall staring into the mirror. Something's behind me in the reflection. But it's not a person. It's me. At least it looks like me. But the skin is pale. The smile is too wide, like it's trying to hide a mouthful of teeth. Eyes are wet, almost glassy. And every time in the dream, it leans in and whispers, "Let me out." I wake up cold, gasping, heart pounding way too fast. I started avoiding the hallway at night. Started keeping the bedroom door shut. Didn't help. One night I called my landlord. Didn't mention everything, just asked again about the mirror. She went dead silent on the phone. Finally, she says, "Don't get near it. And don't cover it. Just leave it alone." I asked if anyone else ever complained. She just hung up. The dreams kept getting stronger. I started doubting what was real. Sometimes I'd wake up and swear I heard my own footsteps in the hallway. Sometimes I'd hear laughing just under my breath. I should have left. I couldn't. One night, I decided I was done being scared. I turned every light on and sat at the end of the hallway facing the mirror, watching myself. My reflection didn't move, but then it smiled. It lifted its hand and placed it on the glass. I felt my own hand tingle, even though I hadn't moved at all. Then, just barely, I heard the whisper, "Let me out." I should have run. Instead, I pressed my hand right where my reflection's hand was. The glass was warm, like skin. It cracked beneath my fingers, a thin spiderweb line right between our palms. My reflection started laughing, quiet but so familiar. Then everything flipped. Suddenly, I was inside the mirror, looking out. Trapped. I watched as my double, still wearing my skin, got up, stretched, and walked away down the hall, humming. Since then, I've been stuck here, behind the glass, watching my own life go on without me. At first, he let me see everything, ate my food, texted my friends, even took my job. But now, he's been taking away every mirror in the house. I can feel my world shrinking. It's getting darker. Soon there won't be enough glass left for me to see out. And then, I think I'll just stop existing. So if you ever catch your reflection doing something strange, if it smiles before you do, or you see a flicker of movement just for a split second, whatever you do, don't touch the glass.